Baby, lay on back and relax. Kick your pretty feet up on my dash. No need to go nowhere fast. Let's enjoy right here where we
All right, welcome Pirate fans to the softball season preview show brought to you by Wolford's Landing and Cottle Trailer Sales. With the softball preview show, we have Coach Teresa Ruby talking about her upcoming season. And just a side note is tonight, Berg fan will be at the Lady Pirates as they take on the Piketon Red Streaks at Piketon. So give us a listen. First pitch will be around 5 o'clock. We'll keep you updated through Facebook. But here is a softball season preview with head coach Teresa Ruby. Okay, we are joined by Coach Ruby of the Wheelersburg Lady Pirates softball team. Coach Ruby, thanks for joining us today.
And thanks for having me. We always appreciate the support.
All right, so on our coaches preview show, what I'd like to first just have you talk a little bit about is recap your last year for us.
I think we went into the season favored to win the SOC, and based on the previous year, we were favored to have a high level of success in the tournament. We went through the season ranked number 1 in the state, and we were able to win the SOC undefeated. We won a district, won a sectional, of course, won a district, won a regional, and then ended up falling short in the state final.
Okay, so you guys have had a lot of success here since you've been at Wheelersburg. So just kind of highlight those different years and your guys' run that you've been on up to this point.
Well, my first year here, we made it to the regional final and lost to Westfall, a team that went on to win the state championship that year. The next year, we took it a step further and made it to the state semis. Lost to Bloom Carroll, a team that had a pitcher in the middle by the name of Tara Novello, who's now pitching for the number 1 team in the country at Washington.
Yeah, I've seen her on TV.
Yeah, and so I think, had it not been for the little incident she had, she didn't get the pitch in the state final. I think we could safely say we lost to the state championship team again.
Right.
In 2016, we returned just about everybody from that squad, and we were able to win a state championship that year. Pretty much beat everyone fairly soundly that year. It was a phenomenal young group of ladies. And then last year, as I said, we fell short to, again, the state champion, Warren champion. So we've had 3 straight trips to the state tournament, and we've pretty much had a nice, successful run of it.
Okay, and I see with different coaches, sometimes there are different philosophies, and I think it's a little bit of both. It's a balancing act. But how much do you emphasize, like referencing that past success? Letting your girls know, like, hey, we know what it takes. This is what you need to do, or is it purely just, hey, we're on this year, moving forward? And I know it's maybe a little bit of both. But what's your thoughts on that? Yeah,
I think we like to emphasize what Wheelersburg softball is, and when you put that jersey on, what that represents, and it's an expectation of effort, a commitment to what we try to do, which is how you represent yourself on the field, how you represent yourself when you win, how you represent yourself when you fall a little bit short.
Right.
And we talk a lot about that. But I also say, we're here to win an SOC first. You do these in steps. So our first goal is to win an SOC. Primarily from today, a month from now, are we going to be able to look at each other and say we're a better team than what we were when we started? We definitely want to get to that point.
Right.
Then it's win a sectional, win a district, win a regional, win a state championship. I mean, that's part of our expectations, but I don't want us to get all caught up in that.
Right.
We really need to take care of business from day to day first, or
right.
You don't ever get to the end.
Get better each day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sounds good. All right, so that's kind of recapping the past, and you've had a great career just in general, but since being at Wheelersburg, obviously the numbers, the championships, the run you're on, speaks for itself. But talk about this year's team.
We lost quite a few kids, 4-year starters from last year's team. So we're really dependent and looking to our seniors to provide leadership, because we've got I'm like 15, 16 underclassmen, freshmen, sophomores.
Wow.
So we need to look to our junior senior group to relay again this pattern that we have of expectations of who we are, how we work in practice, and how we conduct ourselves. So, we've got Taylor Fanning coming back. She started in left field for us last year, led our team in hitting, which was totally unexpected.
Right.
She's just worked so hard to get to where she's at. A true competitor. You wouldn't think it, but she is.
Yeah.
We've got a transfer that came in, Maggie Whitman, who I think will be able to contribute for us once she becomes eligible. She's got to sit out 13 games, but she's one of those players you could probably put just about anywhere, and she's going to be able to handle it. We've got Jillian Bowen, who's a senior, who's put in a lot of time, always trying to get better, and I really expect her to lead on the field and in practice. And then Mia Darnell, she's one of those kids that's put in 3 years, and this is her chance to be a starter, and has earned that opportunity, and we look for her behind the plate to steady us and lead us forward.
Okay, yeah, I think you already said it, but to be a great team, you're going to have great senior leadership. So luckily for you and them and your program, that they've seen it as have come up through the ranks. So hopefully they've picked up different things, and then also hopefully they still make this team their own and put their own identity on it as seniors, and that's always good.
That's why I try to tell them, this is your legacy.
Right.
You determine what this team's going to be and who we're going to be as we move forward. As coaches, we're going to give you 110%.
Right.
But you're going to be the determining factor.
Okay. What about, so you touched on some seniors and some of the ones that have earned their way into a spot, or some that are returning starters. Talk about any other returning starters that you have.
We've got Kristen Reisner in center field. She's played right field for us, and she's an outstanding young lady. I don't expect us to miss a beat with her moving over into center field. She's worked a lot in the offseason now, and I see her as being more explosive at the plate, and I expect big things from her this season. Sara Klaxon, she was our backup pitcher last year to Faith Howard. I always said the argument, I think we had the second best pitcher in the county, and unfortunately she was behind Faith Howard. She's getting her chance this year, and we're hoping and expecting that she'll take that opportunity and make the most of it. But last year she played first base for us. And then Mallory Bergman, she's started at second base. It looks like she might move to the outfield for us this year. But she's gotten stronger, and I've seen a lot of improvement from her at the plate. Those are really the only ones we've got returning. Okay,
so then the rest are going to be up and coming.
Yes.
Younger girls that are looking to prove themselves. So that can be probably scary at first, but it can also be a good thing if people are working and battling for positions. And I know you've had that competition, all preseason and previous years, and I think this drives the competition and makes you better.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a lot of competition for positions because, with so many returning starters from year to year and the caliber of the kids that we had who came in, they just put the work in and day out. They were a coach's dream, and you never had to worry about them being complacent.
Right.
So they set a great example. But this is the first year for a while since I started here that we've got some true competition and opportunities for kids every day to prove themselves and get an opportunity to play.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It is.
And you already touched on this a little bit on just kind of your overall program expectations. So this year's team, are those expectation goals any different?
No, they're never any different.
That's what I knew you were going to say that. That's good, and I'm glad you said that. Okay, and one thing I think just our teams do throughout Wheelersburg is, each team, each season has its own little personal motto, and you usually know that team's motto for that year, whether it be football, baseball, softball, basketball, just kind of what to live by for that season. So what's your guys' team motto this year? It's
start unknown and finish unforgettable. We've got a lot of new kids, and we know that we're going to be an unknown commodity as far as the folks around the area. They've known pretty much what our lineup was going to be for the last 3 years. So, I think we have an opportunity to do that. We have talent. We have the talent. It's just going to be how fast they grow up.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a perfect motto from what you're explaining on what you're coming. So that's good. All right. This question is, so I coach football, and we have pretty much the non basketball and baseball guys. We have from January till the first game to get them physically ready in the weight room and stuff. And then we have about 10 days in the summer for mental type stuff putting in place. And then we have 2-a-days. And I know at times I probably think there's not enough time to put all that stuff in, but there's enough time.
Yeah.
But I feel like in basketball and softball, there's a short preseason. And you're getting some kids that have been doing a basketball run, and I know their spring is busy. So you don't have a whole lot of time.
No, we don't.
So talk about how you balance that, working on fundamentals versus situational things, compared to, other things you might do at practice, and how you are very efficient with your time there.
Well, we stress fundamentals, but the good fortune here at Wheelersburg is the phenomenal Little League program that we have. We get kids that have been well coached through their younger years, and by the time we get them, fundamentals are something that we just really have to re-emphasize and not have to do a lot of teaching, because, I've been in areas where you have to spend most of your preseason doing fundamental stuff, teaching fundamentals. Re-emphasizing is a whole different issue. So that gives us the opportunity to be able to spend time on plays and simulating situations you're going to run into a game and seeing how the kids react to that. And, it's one thing to go out and throw it and catch it and hit a ground ball and say, hey, throw to first. And it's another when you got base runners and game-type pressure situations and how kids react to that. Some kids look great when you tell them what to do. And the minute everything else becomes uncontrolled, they break down. So we do get that opportunity. A lot of times getting, our basketball kids and our cheerleaders, this is something as girls we have to deal with. It depends on the boys' basketball success and the girls' basketball success. We've gotten kids as late as maybe a week before our first game. Because of the success. And yay for basketball, and I'm not saying anything about that, but it has been that way where you get several of your kids expect to be your starters, and they're there just like a week before you have to get ready to go. Yeah, and
that's the case a lot of times with basketball too. With if football makes a run, and then those guys have 4 or 5 days of practice for the first game. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's what football definitely has an advantage there, where we have all summer there to get ready. So how do you, is there anything you do in particular to put your kids in those situations in practice? Because that's sometimes a hard thing to simulate and to try to do. Is there anything that you do, maybe it's a little different, that tries to put them in those pressure situations? Yeah.
Again, another thing we're fortunate about is the commitment the girls have made. We've got good numbers. Like this year we've got 22. I think this is the fewest we've had. We've usually had up to 25 kids. And when you've got that many, you can do a competitive practice because of the quality of the kids we've got. I've been in some situations where I've got like 14 kids, and it's really hard to simulate game type situations. You just really don't have enough kids to do it.
Right.
And then it becomes the coach's job, maybe run some bases or do whatever they need to do. But we have some talented kids on our bench that we can do a self scrimmage, and we can put kids on bases and simulate, and it really becomes a dual role of us learning how to run the bases appropriately, but also pushing our kids and creating situations to see how they react.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you ever need extra help with that, call Jonathan Eaton. He will come help you out and run some bases for you. He might pull a hamstring, though.
Mr. Wildman.
He can run bases on his John Deere.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, and one thing I've always noticed about the softball team is obviously, I think with our conference is usually pretty good. You have West has a good program, and you have other teams in the conference, Memphis, that are going to have good athletes for a softball team. So we know the SOC is going to be good, but I've always noticed you guys play a really tough out-of-conference schedule. So what are some highlights this year to your guys' out-of-conference schedule?
We're going to Ashland, who always has a good program at Ashland, Kentucky. Past few years we played them. They have a young lady that's one of the main pitchers for University of Louisville now. I really try to find pitchers.
Yeah.
that
definitely.
we can play against and really try to play up. Last year we played a team from Hurricane, West Virginia, who of their 9 starters, 7 were already D1 commits. And
Wow.
we're talking about Florida State, some big schools, that Virginia Tech, and the only 2 that weren't committed were freshmen. So
that's nice.
Yeah, and I think it pushes our kids. I think they can get complacent playing the same teams over and over and knowing what to expect. And hey, we beat this team last year by 30. Now we got to go play them again. Right. And I don't want us to do that. If we finish the season with 5 losses, we'll be better for those 5 losses if we're playing caliber teams versus those losses that aggravate me most are when we go in and we play a team we know we should have beat by 10.
Right.
And we go in with not the right attitude, not the right mental preparation, and we walk out of there either with a close game win or a loss. We've really wasted our time and not invested where we've needed to invest. So this year we've got Ashland, Kentucky. We're going over to Raceland. We're playing in a great tournament in Kentucky. We're playing some teams from West Virginia. Again, these are all teams, 3 or 4 times our size.
Right.
That are going to have talent that, I certainly think we can go to win, but they're going to push us.
Yeah, I think you play great teams like that, and they're going to expose some weaknesses, and maybe show some strength, that you haven't seen before either.
You usually find out the character of your team.
Yes, absolutely.
You get in this game.
Yeah, going back to football though, but I think in our run that we've had the last few years, one of our biggest games that we had was when we lost to Jackson at home, got shut out, and that just kind of like catapulted us into.
Turns that light on.
Yeah, it turns the light on, and so that's what we try to.
You
focus.
hope it turns the light on.
Yeah, you hope, and but we focused on that these last few years and trying to up the schedule and really kind of getting up to your guys' level because you guys play, always just such a great schedule, and I think that's really, really good.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Ruby. So that's all the questions we have for you.
Right.
We will actually, Brent Eaton and I will be doing the game tonight at Piketon.
Okay.
Weather permitting, it looks like, but we'll be there. So we wish you luck, and
Thank you.
thanks for joining us.
We appreciate it.